Mercury fact file. Average temperature 170 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 4,900 kilometers. 59-day rotation period. Mean distance from Sun 0.3 astronomical units. 0.24-year orbital period. And the closest planet to the Sun, the first rocky planet. Mercury composition. Scientists estimate that Mercury is composed of 70% metals and 30% silicate material, rock. The core makes up the majority of its mass and is completely made from metal, mostly iron. However, the mantle and the crust are made from silicate materials. Mercury characteristics. Atmosphere. Mercury has an exosphere. This is a thin layer over the planet which is constantly renewed with sodium, magnesium, calcium, potassium, and other elements. Surface features. Very heavily cratered, contains highlands and lava-filled basins. This is why it looks similar to the Moon. Also home to an 800-mile depression called the Caloris Basin. This was made by an asteroid or crater hitting the surface of the planet. It is one of the largest of its kind in the solar system. Venus fact file. Average temperature of 470 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 12,100 kilometers. 243-day rotation period, retrograde. Mean distance from Sun 0.72 astronomical units. 0.62-year orbital period, and the second planet from the Sun. Venus composition. Metal core, liquid rock mantle, and crust of solid rock, the same as all rocky planets. Venus characteristics. Has a thick, rapidly spinning atmosphere mainly made up of CO2, but also containing clouds of sulfuric acid droplets. Unlike Mercury, Venus's atmosphere is very good at trapping in heat, the cause of its high temperatures. Surface features. Sapus Mons is a large Venusian volcano with many lava flows down its sides. Scientists assume it may have been formed in a similar way to shield volcanoes on Earth. Ishtar Terra is the location of Venus's 4 main mountain ranges. Aphrodite Terra is smaller than Ishtar Terra, but is similar. Earth fact file. Average temperature 15 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 12,800 kilometers. 1-day rotation period. Mean distance from Sun 1.0 astronomical units. 1-year orbital period, and the third planet from the Sun. Earth characteristics. Atmosphere. The lower atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% other gases. Due to solar activity, the upper atmosphere swells during the day and contracts at night. Surface features. Mount Everest is located in the Himalayas in Asia and is the highest mountain on Earth at 8,850 meters above sea level. The polar ice caps contain around 80% of Earth's fresh water and were formed millions of years ago by compressed layers of snow. The Pacific Ocean is the largest on Earth. It is 65.3 million square miles in area, larger than the land's area put together. Mars fact file. Average temperature minus 50 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 6,800 kilometers. 1-day rotation period. Mean distance from Sun 1.5 astronomical units. 1.9-year orbital period, and the fourth planet from the Sun, the last rocky planet. Mars characteristics. Atmosphere. Surrounded by a thick atmosphere and rich carbon dioxide. Appears pink because of suspended iron oxide particles. Also thin clouds formed from CO2 and ice. Surface features. Northern hemisphere covered by a fairly flat volcanic plain. In contrast, the southern hemisphere consists of highlands covered in craters. Val Marinari was formed by internal forces 3.5 billion years ago and is a complicated canyon system over 2,500 miles long. Jupiter fact file. Average temperature minus 150 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 1,400 kilometers. 0.41-day rotation period. Mean distance from Sun 5.2 astronomical units. 11.9-year orbital period, and the fifth planet from the Sun, the first gas giant. Jupiter characteristics. Atmosphere. The lower atmosphere is gaseous hydrogen and helium. However, the upper atmosphere consists of coloured clouds formed at different altitudes by condensed hydrogen compounds. Surface features. The Great Red Spot is believed to have existed for around 400 years. and is a storm larger than Earth. The planet's surface has a pattern of light stripes, zones, and dark stripes, belts. Saturn fact file. Average temperature minus 180 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 121,000 kilometers. 0.43 day rotation period. Mean distance from Sun 9.5 astronomical units. 29.5 year orbital period, and the sixth planet from the Sun. Saturn characteristics. Atmosphere. Thick, pale yellow atmosphere covered in a thin, smoggy haze. Helium raindrops generate heat, which is transported to the lower atmosphere, where, along with the planet's rotation, it creates strong winds. Surface features. Has an alternating pattern of zones and belts. One of the windiest planets, with storms being most active around the equator. However, there is one storm at its south pole. Uranus fact file. Average temperature minus 210 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 51,000 kilometers. 0.72 day rotation period. Mean distance from Sun 19.1 astronomical units. 84 year orbital period, and the seventh planet from the Sun. Uranus characteristics. Atmosphere. Owes its colour to methane gas in its atmosphere. Atmosphere is mainly hydrogen and helium, like the other gas giants. However, it also contains traces of methane, water, and ammonia. There are no notable surface features on Uranus. However, it spins almost on its side, meaning its poles receive more solar energy than its equator. Neptune fact file. Average temperature minus 220 degrees Celsius. Diameter of 50,000 kilometers. 0.67 day rotation period. Mean distance from Sun 30 astronomical units. 165 year orbital period, and the furthest planet from the Sun, the last gas giant. Neptune characteristics. Atmosphere. Mainly hydrogen, but also containing methane, the cause of Neptune's blue colour. However, it is a particularly vivid blue, suggesting there is an unknown component present in the atmosphere that is not present in Uranus's. Surface features. Has a turbulent surface with regular hurricane-like storms similar to Jupiter, including a great dark spot. Manned space missions. Problems with manned space missions. Space adaptation syndrome. Astronauts may become disorientated, suffer from headaches, poor concentration, and vomiting. Physiological problems. May suffer from brittle bones, muscle fatigue, and reduced red blood cell counts from prolonged exposure to an apparently zero-gravity environment. Communication delays. Radio signals travel at the speed of light, and the further from Earth they are, the longer the time taken for radio waves to travel. Radiation risk. Subject to harmful ionizing radiation from the Sun, which can increase the risk of cancer, and radiation from solar flares is seen as life-threatening. Psychological problems. Can cause irritability, fatigue, and low motivation from living and working with the same astronauts in confined spaces for several months or even years. Moons. Mars. Mars has two small moons, Deimos, dusty, small and distant, and Phobos, the larger and closer moon, are both irregular in shape, only tens of kilometers in size and heavily cratered. Their densities are roughly half of Mars's, and their composition is similar to that of typical asteroids. This is why most astronomers believe that Deimos and Phobos are captured bodies from the asteroid belt. Moons. Neptune. Triton is its largest moon, which has a highly inclined orbit, which orbits Neptune the opposite way the planet spins. This suggests it was a captured body as a result of a collision with Neptune or another of its moons. Dark Proteus is the second largest irregular satellite in the solar system. It was discovered in 1989 by Voyager 2 because its closeness to Neptune means it is invisible from Earth. Nereid takes 360 days to orbit Neptune because of a highly eccentric orbit, the largest in the solar system. It is most likely a captured Kuiper Belt object. Ring systems. All four gas giants possess ring systems. Each distinct ring contains billions of individual particles of ice, rock, and dust. E.g., Jupiter has very dusty, dark rings, whereas Saturn's are icy and highly reflective. All systems are very wide, up to hundreds of thousands of kilometers across, but very thin, up to 1.5 kilometers thick. There are also notable gaps, such as Saturn's Cassini division, and some are incomplete. Neptune and Uranus in particular have many ring arcs. Ring system origins. Most astronomers believe that ring systems are relatively short-lived features. Ring origin possibilities. Made from debris left over after the formation of the planet, created from large impacts between moons, from a moon torn apart by tidal gravitational forces, or from material ejected from the surfaces of moons by meteorite impacts. Opposition and conjunction. Planets which are closer to the Sun than us are called inferior. Planets which are further away are called superior. When planets are directly behind Earth, they are at opposition. When they are directly the other side of the Sun, they are in conjunction. It's best to view superior planets when they are at opposition, because they are closer and brighter. GEE and GWE. It is best to observe inferior planets when they are at GEE, greatest eastern elongation, or GWE, greatest western elongation. This is because GEE and GWE are when inferior planets are horizontally furthest away from the Sun. The Sun's light can affect our observations of inferior planets, so the further away the better. Retrograde motion. The planets appear to move across a narrow band of sky called the zodiacal band. When we look at the night sky, the planets can appear to move back on themselves, retrograde motion. This is not the case. We only see this effect because all the planets are travelling at different speeds. They usually move from west to east.